The Tarrant County Medical Examiner's Office and the Fort Worth Police Department needs the public's help in making an identification. We found a female body on March 20th, and we don't have a tentative ID. She is 21 to 35 years old, a Hispanic female. She stands 4'9" to 5'4". She has a slender build, would be a petite woman. We have had our Suzanne Baldon, our facial reconstruction artist, make a clay rendering. When you look at that, the teeth that you see are actually the teeth from the skull. The skull is under the clay. We have a dental bridge in the upper right front teeth. And we have also created a drawing of the shirt that she was wearing. In addition to that shirt, she had elastic waist pants that had a pink and blue stripe in them. And we believe the death occurred between October of 2012 and early of 2013. So anyone with any information, missing persons that they feel may belong to this case, please call the Fort Worth Police Department, Detective Kyle Sullivan. That phone number is 817-392-4340.
Are you confident that she is Hispanic? Because something I was reading earlier said she was Hispanic or Asian.
There are some traits in the skull that could be attributed to Native American or Asian. But when we take measurements of the skull and compare it to known skulls, she is closest to Hispanic females.
Is this common practice? I mean, do you have to do this often?
We have a case maybe one a year or once every couple of years where we don't have a tentative identification. And we have found facial reconstruction and media support to be a great method to get people identified. This has worked for us on many occasions.
What's the hardest thing about solving a case like this?
Well, the police their hands are tied until we were able to make an identification. So figuring out who our victim is really the first step.
Detective Sullivan, can you describe for us the challenge that you face in a case like this?
Yeah, like Dr. Austin. Like Dr. Austin said, the challenge we're going to face is first identify and make an identification. Once we make an identification, that's where step one begins. So once we have that done, hopefully shortly, then we can go from there.
It's got to be rather frustrating for you at this point.
Oh, absolutely, yes. We just have no idea at this point.
So can you just say if this was a homicide?
I'll defer to Dr. Austin.
Oh yeah, the cause of death and the manner of death at this point are still not determined. We'll be releasing that at a later time.
Can you talk about the conditions where you found her? I was talking to some of the neighbors of the Motel 8, and they said that they found the skull first, and then they were pulling out body parts. Can you?
Yes, on May 20th of this year, we got a call from a pipeline crew that actually found a skull, and they notified police. And when we got there, we started our own investigation, and we uncovered a shallow grave where the remainder of the body was. And it was a field in Fort Worth, south of 30, in that area over there off near Altamere.
Did you guys check the video from the hotel maybe to get any clues?
Yes, I've already investigated that, but at the time we really didn't have an accurate time of death, and when we checked, the video didn't record far enough back, but we got checked around local businesses and stuff for any additional video. We just didn't have any.
Were there any kind of missing persons reports? I mean, obviously not, but I mean, so apparently just no one's come forward and said we're missing somebody at all?
Yes, this was originally aired in the paper or broadcast in the paper, so I got a few leads on that, some from Dallas, some from other places. So it's out there, but no lead has led us to identification of this person. So that's kind of what we're here at the press conference for.
We've ruled out several missing people already. Anybody have any questions for our artist?
Can you walk us through the process? How did you come up with this? Just kind of step up the mics if you would.
Yeah, step up to.
How did you do this?
Karen Taylor and Betty Pat Gatliff. I have the book here. Grab it. Written by my teachers. And in the 90s, I started taking classes with them in the mid-90s, and in 96, Dr. Austin and I met and started working together. So they developed techniques on making facial reconstructions so that people could be identified from their remains, and it's been quite effective.
What kind of technology do you use to do this?
I take the skull, put her on a stand, him or her, depending, on the stand, and then I glue tissue depth markers on, following charts that we have in the book. And then I just connect the dots with clay and put the use formula for the features. I have specific formula. So it's not a fine art. It's a scientific process.
Can you talk a little bit about what it took to get this face with the skull? And also, I was kind of surprised where the skull is actually underneath.
Yes, that's her teeth, her skull, and I just build the face on the skull. We have this that people see of us every day. People see our teeth, they see our proportions. The skull is like the foundation of a building. It's the foundation of the face. And I can look at you and I can see your skull under there, just from experience. And you might find me looking at you and looking at you, and I'm measuring your nasal spine in my mind and constructing a nose around your nasal aperture. It's just an occupational hazard by this time. Well, I don't know how hazardous it would be, but it's just something that I do that I've developed over time whenever I look at people now. But I don't, it has nothing to do with fine art. There's a huge difference between fine art, good fine art, and good forensic art. Good forensic art has a job to do. It just is supposed to get somebody identified, that's all. It's not supposed to be viewed in the way that people usually view art.
So if these are the real teeth,
Uh-huh.
that would be a really good clue because there's a specific shape to them.
Exactly.
I mean, very.
And you would recognize
particular.
your own family member from their teeth. You know, if
Uh-huh.
you think about it, your sister's smile, you would recognize that, and so that's what we want people to focus on when they look at this.
Mm-hmm.
It's not designed to be a portrait.
No.
It's a likeness. The proportions are correct. The teeth are exact, and so we want people to, anyone that's missing anyone, to look at it and consider the possibility. We do believe the hair is fairly accurate. We don't usually put wigs on the reconstructions, but in this case we recovered a lot of head hair with the remains, and we measured it. We noticed that it was layered and wavy, very voluminous. So she did have that beautiful wavy layered hair, and the color's about correct.
And how do you determine it's a Hispanic woman?
That's from taking measurements on the skull and comparing it to a database that has measurements from known individuals.
How accurate are these reconstructions?
Well, it shows the proportions well, shows the distances between the landmarks on the face, whether the eyes are bulging or the eyelids. There's no real data on that. There's no real data on how the lips would be constructed, but the size and most of the shape of the nose is based on science. We don't have any information about skin color or eye color. In this particular case, we do have information about the hair.
I'm sorry if this has already been asked, but is there any approximate time how long this woman was in that grave?
Yeah, we believe that the death occurred between October of 2012 and the early part of 2013.
So relatively recent.
Yes.
And how do you know that? Just by the state of decomposition?
Yes. Mhm.
Was there any sign of violence inflicted on this person?
Well, we're still working on that. We at this point, it hasn't been determined.
How are her teeth? Is she someone who received good dentistry over the years, or is she someone who didn't have a cavity in her mouth, or?
She has some restorations, and one big distinguishing feature is a dental bridge, and it's between the upper right central incisor and the canine. So it's 3 teeth are involved in this bridge, and so hopefully that'll be something that family members would recognize. We've given you an information sheet. Michelle's passing it out right now. It has all of our names, so you can get our correct spellings and affiliations. It has the biological profile. It has a description of the clothing. If you're just coming in, we have a drawing on the table of her shirt. The shirt was dirty and beginning to decompose, so we had our artist recreate it in a drawing. We tracked down the manufacturer, and we got a sketch of the design of the shirt from the manufacturer and a fabric swatch, and then recreated it. So it's fairly unusual. It's an unusual design, so we think that might be very helpful. It was manufactured in 2006, so it may be something that she had for a long time and wore for many years. We don't know.
Do you have any idea what size it was, or is?
It's small. She's small and petite.
How would you describe the garment? Is it over the, from the shelf, or is it high end?
Well, they distribute to a variety of sources and also online.
I'm sorry?
They distribute to a variety of stores,
Yes.
and then they also sell their products online. So I don't know. It's not particularly high end. We really appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
If we make an identification, we'll let you know.